I need you to picture this. A 7-year-old boy coming back home from school. He's very excited because he just received his test result in math. He scored a 72. He can't wait for his father to see the results. And with great anticipation, he waits. His father comes home. He looks at the paper, he sighs and shakes his head. Why are you so careless? What is wrong with you? You are smarter than this, son. And just like that, the excitement drains from the boy's face. The room goes quiet. Nothing dramatic happens. No shouting, no punishment, just a sentence. Fast forward 25 years. The same boy is now a grown man, sitting in his car outside his office. He just made a small mistake in a presentation. And without thinking, he says to himself, I'm so careless. What is wrong with me? The math result is long gone. His father may even be gone, but the words are still alive. Voices from our childhood don't just disappear. They settle in our subconscious and they shape how we see ourselves long after the moment has passed. I had a client whose father always called her a monkey and ugly while she was a child. And during our first session on Zoom, she wouldn't even turn on her video. And so for the entire hour, I stared at the blank screen. It wasn't until the third meeting that she had the courage to show her face. And then she explained that she believed that she wasn't good looking and that she felt ashamed to be seen. Her father's words, calling her a monkey, calling her ugly, had altered her perception of herself. And as a result, she sold herself short in most of the relationship that she was in because she felt like she wasn't good enough. The big question is, why are words from authority figures in childhood so powerful? Firstly, you must understand that the brain of a child is very impressionable. As an adult, if someone says to you, you're careless, you have enough life experience and enough critical thinking to disapprove that statement. But when a parent says to a child, you're careless, the child does not have enough experience to challenge that statement. The child is helpless because a child's brain is just like a blank pages of a book that is ready to be written on. And if that statement, you're careless, is repeated enough, it becomes a part of the child's identity. And secondly, as children, we are biologically wired to seek attachment and approval from our caregivers. For a child, acceptance equals safety. So when someone that we depend on, like a parent, like a teacher, criticize us, we take that criticism very seriously. The message gets stored in our little brains with emotional intensity, and emotion strengthens memory. What I mean by that is that the more emotional the moment of criticism is, the stronger the message is imprinted in our brains. Thirdly, when a child is not guided through emotional moments that are triggered by harsh words like you're careless, what is wrong with you, when a child does not feel understood or corrected with love, the emotions remain unresolved. And an emotion that is not resolved does not disappear, does not go anywhere. It is triggered so that a small mistake as an adult can activate that emotional memory, even if the original event happened decades ago. But here is the truth. The same brain that absorbed all those messages, all those negative messages, is the same brain that can update those messages. And anything that is conditioned have a chance to be reconditioned. And that is where transformation begins. The first step to change, to transformation, is to identify the voice. What you must understand is that you're different from the voice in your head. The critical thought in your head, you're different from that. So for example, if you say to yourself, I'm so stupid, what you're doing is that you're fusing yourself and the thought. You're making it the same. Instead, practice saying, the voice in my head is telling me that I'm stupid. Such a small shift in your language creates a distance between yourself and the thought. This gives you the opportunity to trace the origin of that voice. Ask yourself questions like, who does this sound like? When did I first feel this way? What situation does this remind me of? Once you recognize that the voice was adopted or was learned, it becomes less supreme over your life and it becomes contextual. In that case, you are able to separate your behavior from your identity. And this is because the inner critic, the inner voice, always attack your identity. I'm careless. I'm bad. I'm not good at this. I'm not good enough. But a healthier voice focuses on your behavior. I made a mistake. I can prepare better next time. This is a skill and I can improve. When you learn to separate your behavior from your identity, what happens is that you weaken the shame that results from a behavior and you strengthen the opportunity that you have for growth. You also need to be able to challenge your negative thoughts. For instance, if your inner critic says, I always mess up, you have to challenge that thought. Ask yourself questions. Is that objectively true? Do I always mess up? Do I have evidence that contradicts that thought? The goal is not just to have blind positivity. The goal is to be objective and accurate about your thoughts so that at least you can have the opportunity to rewire your brain through repetition. Your inner voice feels strong because you've repeated it over and over for years. And so to replace those negative voices, you must consciously repeat a healthier alternative. For instance, every time you interrupt the thought, I am careless, and replace it with, I made a small mistake and I'm going to fix it. What you're doing is you're rewiring your brain. And this is what replacing the inner critic looks like over time. With the old pattern, when you make a mistake, you feel ashamed and you have all of this harsh negative self-talk. And that gives you anxiety, and then you avoid the situation. With your new pattern, when you make a mistake, you reflect on that mistake and you have a constructive self-talk around that mistake, and you make adjustments around that mistake in a way that encourages your growth. Here's the truth. The thoughts that you have in your head may never disappear completely, but it can lose its power over you. And eventually, the loudest voice in your head can become kind and it can become supportive. And so the real question is not, what's wrong with me? The real question is, whose voice am I still living by? Because at some point, we all inherit a voice along the way as children or even as teenagers. But at some point, you must decide whether to keep repeating that voice or to rewrite that voice. You cannot go back and change the words that were spoken to you, but today you can choose the words that you speak to yourself. And that is where real freedom begins. This podcast is dedicated to helping adults break free from self-doubt and build unbreakable self-esteem. So thank you for watching. Your support is crucial for two reasons. First, low self-esteem affects more people than we realize, and possibly someone that you love. And secondly, on social media, I'm an underdog. That means your support truly matters. And so thank you for subscribing, and most importantly, thank you for watching. It means the world to me. My name is Asine, and this is Mindset Makeover. I'll see you in the next episode.